What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more am I the butthole? If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really helps out our channel. And just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. It really does mean the world. And with that being said, let's just crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Broken Inside Me. Am I the arsehole for kicking out my brother, who our parents have previously disowned, because he told my, now ex-fiancé, that I cheated 9 years ago? For reference, my brother Connor is 19, I am 26, and my, now ex-fiancé Hunter is 28. Also for reference, already mentioned in the title, but my brother was kicked out when he was 16 because our parents snooped through his phone and found out he was gay. Connor had a birthday last weekend, so he invited his friends over and they were all 18 to 22 year olds. Drinking and playing games, Hunter and I were about to head out to let them have the place to themselves when Connor asked if we wanted to join them. I initially refused, bit too old to be playing drinking games, but he insisted and Hunter thought it'd be fun to act like college students again. We all got pretty drunk and Connor had the idea of playing Never Have I Ever. A few rounds in, the statement "Never have I ever cheated before" came up. Now's a good time to mention that Hunter is staunchly against cheating. His ex-fiancée cheated on him and it emotionally wrecked him, and unfortunately, as a lot of dumb, immature 17-year-olds do, I cheated on my boyfriend of 5 months. It was a stupid mistake he found out and understandably ended things. This was almost a decade ago. I obviously learned my lesson and look back at the time with shame, and obviously never cheated since. Well, my brother knows about this, so when I didn't drink, he went, "Hey sis, what the hell? You know you cheated on insert X's name. You have to drink that." My boyfriend paused, looked at me, looked at him, and just walked out the room. I followed him and tried to talk and tell him that it was a stupid teenage mistake, but he wasn't having any of it and ended things on the spot. I'm numb, I'm heartbroken. He was my everything and more, and I still don't know how I'm going to move on. Connor tried to apologise, but I feel nothing but sadness and emptiness. This morning I served him an eviction notice. He begged me to stay and said he didn't mean to ruin my relationship and he just didn't think when he said those words. I just can't look at him right now. He ruined my life after I raised him and cared for him like he was my own. I feel so hurt. Am I being unreasonable? Now there's a whole lot to unpack in this one story, you know. The brother is obviously the arsehole. He brought this up, you were all drunk and he brought this up and it was a mistake in himself to do this, you know. It's absolutely shitty behaviour, but it happened and it was a mistake. Your fiancé is obviously the arsehole because this happened 10 years ago. People do make mistakes. Yes, cheating is a huge one, but it's a young age, you know, shit happens basically. You've learned your lesson in life, you've moved on, and hopefully you're a much better person from what it sounds like anyway. And you're the arsehole because, you know, your brother made a mistake too. I'm sure he didn't intentionally go out of his way to ruin your relationship, and it was just a drunken thing said. So I think everyone sucks here, but this guy puts it way better than I just put it. And Black and Shredded says, I'm gonna have to say everyone sucks here. Why your brother is the arsehole? Bringing up your regretful teenage mistakes is a huge no-no. I don't know why he would think exclaiming to everyone, "Hey everyone, my sister is a cheater," was a great move. But I get that because he was drunk. Alcohol does make you do stupid things. I can easily see how the lack of judgment caused by inebriation could lead to him thinking that it was an acceptable thing to do. Why your fiancé is the arsehole? Probably the most controversial of them, but I think your ex-fiancé sucks the most. I get being hurt in the past because of cheating. I know that pain all too well. But he's holding on a mistake you made when you're a teenager against you. Assuming you're being honest, you never cheated on him, you've never given any indication that you did, and the relationship was otherwise fulfilling. Breaking off an engagement over something you did a decade ago is overkill. Why you're the arsehole? You're misdirecting your anger. I get being upset because your fiancé left you, but I think that's more of a fiancé problem than a brother problem. From your story, he wasn't being malicious, and he's obviously remorseful. No great relationship should end that suddenly without warning, especially considering it happened a decade ago. I wouldn't let this blimp ruin an otherwise good relationship with your brother. Forgive him. And OP replies to this saying, "Hey, I appreciate your thorough analysis of the situation. I know you're right, he didn't mean to hurt me, he just doesn't think sometimes. I love my brother, I want to forgive him, but every time I look at him, I just see sadness and anger. I'm going to schedule my first therapist appointment today. Thank you for your judgment. And Damn Kajit says, not the arsehole, but if your fiancé ended things so quickly over you cheating on an ex almost a decade ago and never doing again, that was likely already looking to end it or on the fence. That's not normal. Lost Vob says, you're the arsehole, brother did you a huge favour. The cheating was a decade ago and wasn't on him. The fact that he got mad over something that happened before his is a giant red flag. Frankly, I think your ex is the biggest arsehole of the three of you, and you're lucky it ended now instead of later. I know you're hurt, but you would have been hurt a lot worse if this relationship was allowed to continue. And Wiggle Butt Biscuit says, everyone sucks here. You suck for kicking out your brother who has no other family for a dumb mistake during a drinking game. Your boyfriend sucks for dumping you over something you did 9 years ago. Your brother sucked the least. He was being a jerk, but it's not like he outed you for cheating on your current partner. He had no reason to think it would blow up in your life like this. Now, I'm going to turn it to you guys. Is there everyone an arsehole in this story? Or is there certain people that are arseholes? There's too much to unpack. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And our next story is from Terry Brunt. Am I the arsehole for not allowing my grandmother around my baby because of something she lied about when I was 15? I'm currently 28, female. I'm married with 3 kids, 4-year-old twin boys, 3-month-old girl. My grandmother is 71, female. Back when I was 15, my mum had a set of twins, boy and girl. She was put on bed rest because of the C-section. She had went strong and she had lost a lot of blood. Where she needed help and I went to school full time, she invited my grandmother into our home, free of cost to help her out. At some point or another, my mum had threatened to kick her out because every morning my mum would check on the twins to find my brother missing. My gram, who was extremely overweight, had been taking my brother from his crib and was sleeping with him on her chest on the couch. My mum told her multiple times to stop and she refused, so my mum threatened to kick her out. My grandmother's way of retaliating was to tell my mother, who had extreme postpartum depression, that my sister, 2 months old at the time, rolled off the bed and fell onto the tile floors. This never happened. This obviously caused extreme panic on my mum's end, which made her spiral because she was already suffering from the postpartum. Because of this, I don't want my grandmother anywhere near my baby. I lived out of state when my twins were born, so she didn't see them until they were 2 years old, and she was never allowed around them alone. However, now that I live in the States and have a baby, she has been harping on to me to let her meet my daughter. I keep telling her no, but gave no reason up until last night, where I reminded her where I witnessed her causing my mum unnecessary panic. I would not be allowing her near my child because I'm not going to chance her doing the same thing with me. My grandmother lost it and really tried saying that the scenario never happened and that we made it all up to make her look bad. A lot of the family has also sided with her, she told everyone, and says that I need to let shit go and stop living in the past. I've been told that I'm alienating my grandmother and that I'm going to destroy her by not letting her build a bond with my child. Am I the arsehole? And I think we have a classic case of gaslighting going on right here with the sentence, my grandmother lost it and really tried saying that the scenario never happened and we made it all up to make her look bad. You know what happened, everyone knows what happened. And if you feel so strongly that way, you have no obligation whatsoever to let her see your child. That is totally your choice. So not the arsehole in my opinion. But Attempted Not Known says, not the arsehole. That is a huge breach of trust, and the fact that you can't let the past go isn't evidence of you needing to grow up. It's evidence your grandmother messed up so badly. You're still dealing with this 13 years later. My wife and I have no end of toxic family on both sides and fully support each other and anyone when it's necessary to go no contact, contrary to what everyone says. You can choose family. Andrew Chi says, not the arsehole. You are under no obligation to let her meet your kids. In fact, you're doing a disservice to your kids by letting her into your lives, no matter how brief a time. Stay strong and protect your babies. And Denny Penny says, the fact she won't admit that she did that to her daughter means she isn't willing to take responsibility for her actions. She's still trying to manipulate people and it's unacceptable behaviour. Not the arsehole. Unlucky Kentucky says, not the arsehole, but you should ask her which it is. Are you making it up or are you living in the past? Tell her to pick one and shut the fuck up about it. You don't need that drama in your life. Jendi 2016 says, not the arsehole, she is gaslighting you. Don't fall for it. Your first priority is to your children, regardless of what grandma says. Now, what would you do in this situation if you had someone like that who was putting pressure on you to let them see your kids? How would you deal with it? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story is from day 7. Am I the arsehole for getting the police involved when my roommate took my cat? I, female 22, lost my remaining adoptive parent last year. Dad was my only family. His brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles wanted nothing to do with me. They never saw me as family, and after my dad's death they cut me out completely and took everything that belonged to my dad, and I was able to keep some things to remember him with. It's hard not having him here, especially during the holidays. I got no family, no grandparents, none to wish me Merry Christmas or surprise me with a gift. All I have is Tommy, my cat. He's so adorable and he makes me happy whenever I'm upset or crying. I'm currently living with my roommate. We both pay rent equally. I should mention that Tommy and I were here before her. She knew about Tommy and didn't mind moving in a month ago, but she started complaining about him and made him feel uncomfortable with her treatment. She'd tell me to find a home for him instead of having him live at the apartment, and tried to find him a new owner multiple times before, and I told her to stop. Tommy isn't hers. She posted a photo of him on Facebook saying she was looking for an owner. I found that out the day before Christmas. She took Tommy and left the apartment. I wasn't there when that happened, and I freaked out and I started calling her number, tell her to come back with Tommy or I'll call the police. Her sister got involved and told me that what she did was wrong, but calling the cops over this was too much. I yelled at them both and told them to go bring Tommy back the same day. I ended up calling the police on her. I got Tommy back and my roommate got into an argument with the landlord because the police were involved. She, her sister and a few mutual friends are calling me names, saying it was awful of me to go to the police and causing this huge issue. Completely forgetting that she tried to give Tommy to a new owner and not let me spend the holidays with him. They're telling me I overreacted and handled it poorly. Now, we've seen stories before where people try to take pets and give them away, and I still find it it hurts my head thinking about it, that someone could just grab someone's pet and say, right, you're going to a new owner. See ya. Who does that kind of weird shit, man? It's so crazy. And there's no way whatsoever are you the arsehole for calling the police. If someone took one of my pets, I ain't got any pets at the moment, unfortunately, maybe one day, but someone took my hypothetical pet and walked off with it and tried to give it to a new owner, I would definitely be calling the police about it and, you know, kicking them out immediately or trying to get them kicked out or moving away from them. Those type of people are unhinged and they will try that type of stuff again. If they can do that once, they will certainly do that or worse. We've seen it before on this subreddit and many other subreddits, people doing weird kind of stuff. So get out of there or kick that person out, one or the other. But Small Charizard says, not the arsehole, she stole your cat. What kind of person does that? An OP reply saying, my roommate is a nasty person. It's clear that she's a troublemaker and this isn't her first time doing something like that. I've only known her for a month and she's insanely rude and disrespectful. Hannah's Flora says, not the arsehole, either you or your roommate need to move out ASAP. Given what she did and her subsequent reaction, she is absolutely going to try this again. In the meantime, if Tommy isn't microchipped, he needs to be. I do not usually advocate for this, but Tommy needs to stay in your room with a lock on the door that only you can unlock until you're no longer living with this person. Short-term unfair treatment to the cat is worth it until you know you can keep him safe and with you, because your roommate is going to try this again and again and again until she either succeeds or one of you moves out. And So Many Whippet says, she stole from you. Who does her sister expect you to call? The fucking Ghostbusters. Not the arsehole. Glad you got him back. Sugar321 says, not the arsehole. You should also look if there is any way to get rid of the roommate. I have a feeling if she did that, God knows what else she'd do. Maybe even poison him or some messed up shit. And Fukina says, not the arsehole. Your roommate is insane. Now, I'm going to turn this to you guys. What do you think OP should do in this situation? I'm assuming they're under a landlord, so can they get them kicked out with a landlord, or do you think they should just move out and get out of there while they can? Let us know in the comments below. And our next story is from UT. Am I the arsehole for letting my daughter celebrate Christmas despite my husband and his family's disapproval? My female 32 brother-in-law passed away in 2018 on Christmas Day in an auto accident at the age of 24. He was in the military and his death was so devastating for the family. My husband's family no longer celebrate Christmas. It's become a death anniversary and I cannot express how last year's holidays were. Families are supposed to gather on that day, and we're constantly reminded the reason we're all there is not to celebrate Christmas but to mourn my brother-in-law. No gifts, no music, just people sitting quietly. Instead of Christmas decoration, there were pictures of my brother-in-law and candles. We weren't allowed to cook. Any meal we received was given away to neighbours. All I ever hear is, "I'm sorry for your loss," instead of "Merry Christmas." My daughter 5 and her cousins got to watch Frozen on YouTube since TV was turned off all day on my in-laws. They got told to turn it down. My daughter made her grandma a sweet Christmas card, and I ended up being berated for not telling my daughter to make a card for her uncle. This may sound selfish, but the kids couldn't be happy, including my daughter. It was awful. I suggested a different way to celebrate this year, but still celebrate. They all vetoed my suggestion, and husband's mum told him to handle me. Like, what the fuck? I received texts from in-laws telling me to come over for the anniversary. I told my husband that I want our daughter to be happy and not experience what happened last year. My daughter begged her dad to take her somewhere and do some activities. He was just wrapped in his blanket, telling me to wake him up at 3 PM so we can go and visit my in-laws. I baked cookies but was told to leave them at home. He said he'd buy gifts but I shouldn't tell anyone, and he'd organise a secret gift exchange between family members. We arrived there and it was the same scene from last year. No food, music, gifts. I was upset, so just had to sit for hours while everyone else enjoyed the holidays. I left with my daughter after my husband argued, saying, "Suck it up, we won't be here next year." And I took her to the restaurant and enjoyed a meal and did some activities together. My mother-in-law started calling me to berate me. When I got home and there was text from her and my sister-in-law calling me insensitive, cruel, heartless, shameless, etc. I got into an argument with my husband saying I shouldn't have acted so selfishly and pretended like family's loss was nothing to me and leave it like that. He said I should have made plans for another day, but I was being stubborn. I argued with him that my daughter couldn't even eat at my in-laws, and he kept making excuses for them, telling me I just ruined his relationship with his family. And there's a few comments on this one which I want to cover, so we're going to head straight to the comments with this one with Feed the Pug saying, "Not the arsehole, losing someone on Christmas Day is tough. Of course it will never be the same again, but turning the day into a wake every year won't bring him back. It just robbed those still alive of joy. And don't we all need that after this year? There are ways to keep his memory alive while celebrating Christmas. If your parents-in-law prefer mourning that day, they are free to do so. They shouldn't force it on anybody else, especially children." And OP replies to this saying, "We're supposed to gather at the house and sit there for hours not doing anything. They all call me selfish, but I felt bad for how my daughter wanted to enjoy the holidays like other kids, and I was berated, was called names, and they think I don't care about their pain. It hurts, especially since my husband agreed with them instead of thinking about his daughter." And Madam Airlock says, "Not the arsehole, your kid is very young and deserves to enjoy the magic of Christmas, especially after this year. You are not the arsehole if you want her to enjoy the holiday. I do understand that the family has suffered a tragic and terrible loss, especially since your brother-in-law was so young. So it's pretty hard to celebrate the holidays, in particular if they coincide with the anniversary. In my opinion, it sounds a bit too much because the way you describe it looks like they're holding a wake. I'm not judging here, everyone of course faces grief differently, but asking little kids not to celebrate Christmas and have a fun day is, in my honest opinion, kinda wrong. I hope you understand what I mean, I don't mean any disrespect." And OP replies again to this saying, "Absolutely, my heart breaks for the other kids and I wish I was allowed to take them to do some fun activities, but their mother, sister-in-law is against that. I honestly don't understand why the kids should be robbed of joyful times. They're kids, they deserve to enjoy the holidays just like the other kids. This is unfair." And Cranky Kitty says, "Not the arsehole. Both my father's parents died on Christmas Eve, 5 years apart. Each time, the following year we had much more subdued Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but then things went back to normal, or normal as we could make them. If it were just the adults, I'd give this family a bit more of a pass, but to take away kids' Christmas entirely seems needlessly cruel. I do think you and your husband should have discussed things more and made plans to celebrate Christmas at your home with your child and strictly limit the amount of time spent at the in-laws long before the actual day." And Seriously F'd Mine said, "Tough one, but not the arsehole. There is no valid reason for destroying a holiday for your daughter, who is very much aware of what is going on, and that the holiday experience is very different from that of others. I understand the deep loss your in-laws feel, but the difficult part about feelings is that they are unique to each of us. They're allowed to feel their loss and pain in a way that you're allowed to feel yours, in your own way. They crossed into arsehole territory when they abused and bullied you for not experiencing the same feelings they do." And Feisty Donkey says, not the arsehole, it's a horrible loss, but they need to figure out a way to grieve that doesn't ruin Christmas for the little kids present. Your daughter is 5, I can't imagine she understands why she doesn't get Christmas. A toast to your brother-in-law before dinner or a prayer, if that's their thing, would be fine. After my grandfather died, my grandmother always opened Christmas Day with a prayer for him, which required 5 minutes of our attention, not the whole day. And Pump and Nickelbrot says, not the arsehole, including a memorial for the deceased is absolutely fine. Cancelling Christmas altogether for everyone, including the Christmas, seems like a weird way to mourn someone. Eat the passed away brother's favourite foods, tell stories about him and celebrate Christmas. If they don't want to honour him in a way that works for you, just stop going there. Your husband is being a major arsehole for not being understanding or supporting of you at all. You know, when I think about people that's passed away in my life, like my mum and stuff like that, and my aunts and things, I always sort of put it into their perspective of what would they be thinking right now? Would they want me to be mourning them constantly? Would they want me to be sat there being quiet with the TV off? Or would they want me to be enjoying life? Sure, toasting a memory in their name. Absolutely. My mum wouldn't even want that, to be fair. But I don't think they would want you taking Christmas away from the kids. And I don't know if that's a heartless thing for me to say, but it's just always a way that I feel when I think about my relatives and I start getting down. And I always sort of think, how would they want me to be feeling? How would they want me to be just sat there doing nothing, thinking about them? Or would they want me to be living life? That is just always something I feel, and it might be a wrong thing to say, so I do apologise if it is, but it's just the way that I feel about these sort of things. But what would you do in that situation? It's an incredibly tough one, incredibly hard one, because it's always incredibly hard losing a relative, and especially on a big day like Christmas. But I don't think you can take it away from the kids. They don't understand. You're just tainting their whole lives ahead of them by not letting them enjoy Christmas, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you have enjoyed today's stories. And if you have, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. A huge thank you for taking a part of your day to spend it with me listening to stories. It really does mean the world to me. Seeing the same names popping up all the time and commenting, it's just absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for the support. I will see you, hopefully, in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.